Hello, my name is Juliet Denny, and unfortunately, it didn't work out me presenting this morning because of technical issues. But I'm really, really excited to talk about the pilot that we've been doing with Centrica. So I thought, right, well, why don't I just record my presentation, and hopefully there'll be some interest in government finding out what we're doing in terms of AI, because it really is a really kind of a revolutionary project. So my name is Juliet Denny, and for the last 25 years, I've been involved in learning technologies, running a company called Growth Engineering. Our clients include people like Apple, L'Oreal, Cisco, so the largest companies in the world. And we've been doing some really exciting things with gamification and social learning. But a couple of years ago, or 18 months ago, I decided that I really wanted to get into AI and really focus on what AI could do in terms of personalizing learning so that we could produce better learning outcomes. So I started a business called Iridescent Technology, and what we have done is basically pushed out on this idea that learning should be completely and utterly personal to an individual and that individual's role. So what we've done is we have ingested National Occupational Standards, so 100% of National Occupational Standards. So that's about 1,800 different standards across many different industries, and we've also ingested all of the OFQUAL qualifications that have been approved by the UK government under OFQUAL. And that basically allows us to create learning experiences for large corporates, and Centrica were one of the people that came to the pilot with us to ensure that there's much more passportability in terms of movement and transparency when you move from company to company or industry to industry. So the idea is that we create training needs analysis based on the organizational job descriptions and also NOS. And then the learning is actually delivered on an individual basis. There's no more one size fits all, basically through a really good understanding of how Zavmo understands the learner's roles, interests, and career ambitions. So the learning is created in real time, and it's absolutely as unique as each learner is. So there is no more everybody getting the same piece of content. Each time you interact with Zavmo, it is absolutely unique to your role and where you want to, where your aspirations lie. And most critically, it is aligned to the actual role. And this is vitally important because it means we can actually get the knowledge applied as opposed to just kind of understood. So we're moving up Bloom's taxonomy. Overall, what we're trying to do is ensure that every single learning moment is relevant as possible for each learner. So if you think about the way we learn, first of all, we need to make sure that the learner is attentive. Then we need to make sure that they're concentrating. And then finally, we need to make sure that learning is scaffolded in and around something that is relevant and meaningful to them. So that's where we've used NOS in terms of understanding the standards in which their JD should be benchmarked to, but we also need to understand where they are going to go to. So looking at their career now, but also where they want to go to in terms of the next role and further past that, so that we can basically tailor the learning pathway to their needs. We also want to really lean into their learning preferences, and by that I mean what types of things are they interested in. So at moments of low concentration or when we know that we're losing their attention, we can then bring in hobbies, interests, etc., in order to really inspire them. We're also talking about learning preferences here in terms of how we're delivering the learning. So would you like to learn through case studies, applied learning, conversational learning, Socratic dialogue? So we're looking at what basically inspires and creates as much interest from the learner as possible. The next thing that we're doing is we're ensuring that if you do have neurodiversity considerations, so things like dyslexia or ADHD, that we're delivering the learning in a way that maximizes your ability to learn. So I am dyslexic and I know that I need a lot of reinforcement. I know I need double spacing. I know I need phonetic spelling. So that's really what we're trying to do with neurodiversity considerations. We're also ensuring that if the individual has, let's say, hit something like a finance element in what they're having to do, and they're not particularly interested in finance, what we try and do is intertwine their personal interests and hobbies into the learning experience so that they are more attentive when it comes to that finance element. And then, of course, all of the learning they do is mapped to OFQUAL standards. So this means if the organisation, in this case Centrica, does have alignment and does have relationships with awarding bodies, we can basically ensure that that learner has met the learning outcomes from that qualification or that credit, and that can build up to a qualification should the organisation decide they want to go that route. So what I wanted to talk to you about, and what I'm so excited about, is this pilot that we've done for Centrica using Zavmo AI. So we've basically taken roles from all around Centrica. So this is people from finance, customer service, front end, gas people working in the home. So many different roles that, quite frankly, I didn't really understand when I look at the job description. And basically, they have been utilizing Zavmo AI and going through Zavmo's 4D process. So first of all, the learner basically goes into Zavmo, which is an online portal, and basically you have a chat with Zavmo, and Zavmo maps your current role, asks you a load of questions, maps your role to NOS. Then basically what Zavmo does is, through understanding where you are in your role, your seniority, what it will do is it will create a uniquely personalized training needs analysis based on your role and where you want to go to. So no training needs analysis is the same, and it's based on your knowledge, but your behavior and your attitude towards that NOS or that JD. So very unique. On the back of that, we will then discuss how you want the learning to be delivered to you. So Zavmo will seek to understand your neurodiversity needs, your interests, your aspirations, your learning preferences, how you would like the learning to be delivered, and then basically schedule in your learning in and around your day job. And then we move on to delivery. And this is where Zavmo basically delivers the content in line with the OFQUAL learning objectives, learning outcomes, assessment criteria, and also your JD and your NOS. So this is very applied learning. So we're not talking generically about leadership skills. We're talking about how you would basically do those leadership skills within your role, right? So we're moving away from this idea of one size fits all to really targeted learning, which is directly applicable to your job description and role. And then what we're doing is we are ensuring that we're delivering that in line with your neurodiversity requirements, your interests, your ambitions, so that we're pacing the learning and we're creating the learning in a way that's going to maximize your curiosity. Then we go on to the demonstrate stage. And the demonstrate stage is where you have to apply your content in line with sort of the higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy and meet the learning outcomes as dictated by the qualification. So this is something you don't necessarily have to go for the qualification, but it does mean that all learning matters. And so for a company like Centrica, what does that mean? It means that there's instantly more value in that particular for the learner and also for the organization. So what has been the impact of this? Well, the impact has been absolutely huge. So Centrica estimate that it's been a total estimated benefit of 24 million, more than 24 million a year. Specifically things like competency assessment. So competency management within organizations, a complex organization like Centrica has got 180,000 people working for them. It's really difficult to have competencies that run through the entire organization. And this is where NOS and Zavmo AI can come in and provide complete transparency of how somebody moves from, let's say, marketing into L&D. So overall, the training needs analysis process has been simplified, but also made a lot more transparent. Also helped in things like recruitment, helped absolutely in things like training delivery, because you are not having to create new content all the time. And when you are creating content, you're creating content that is specifically mapped to the JD. And then just in terms of productivity gain, so people can basically hit the ground running a lot quicker when the training they're being given is absolutely in line with their job. But actually, although it has been a huge impact in terms of finances, what's even a bigger impact is the strategic impact on Centrica, because now they have real-time visibility of organizational capabilities. So they can really begin to do more with the resources they've got, and they can allocate those resources in a way that's going to allow them to be more efficient and more effective. Overall, it's really about improved organizational agility. So if we think about future skills and things like that, what we want learning to be directly applied. Because if you're talking about future skills for, let's say, somebody who's just entered the workplace versus somebody who's responsible for that department, how they're going to be utilizing their future skills is obviously very different in terms of the impact it makes on the organization. So the overall purpose of this very personalized way of learning is ultimately in and around obviously increasing Centrica's efficiency and effectiveness as a business. But it all comes back to really what the learners think. So do the learners like learning like this? Do they like learning with a personalized AI tutor? Well, the response is absolutely, they were blown away by it. So course completion was actually kind of 100%, only because some of them haven't actually finished the pilot. 97 would recommend to colleagues. There was very, very, everybody sort of loved the experience because it was just so personal to them. They couldn't really understand how it worked. They kept saying, how do you create the content and stuff like that. But overall, they learned a lot more than they should have. They spent a lot more time with Zavmo than they were required to. And overall the feedback was really, really good. So 100% direct report in terms of how they were able to basically use that the new learning in their role, feeling more confident in the role. They were able to get faster skills acquisition, and overall had a very clear idea of what they needed to do to move their role on. And so, why I'm really interested in speaking to this audience is obviously that, Zavmo AI is a really creative and brand new way of utilizing AI with some of the investments that the government has already made. And I would really like to, understand what currently the government is doing with regards to learning and development, and how we can do some pilots in areas that, will fundamentally, help and improve, certain, underserved areas, particularly with regards to kind of neurodiversity, the long-term unemployed, et cetera, et cetera. I think, one of the things that I did want to call out is just the extraordinary work that the UK has already done in the area of developing NOS and OFQUAL. It does really represent one of the most significant contributions to global skills standards in the world. It is quite incredible. We're talking to governments from all over the world about rolling out Zavmo, and why we are able to do that in India and Pakistan, and even in countries that are not based on the UK educational system, like Azerbaijan and Armenia. They recognise that the structure that the UK government has already put into NOS and OFQUAL is really helpful in helping them climb up. And so, Zavmo AI does have a really kind of unique opportunity in terms of building on what has already been invested in terms of digitising and automating these frameworks. And that's why I am so keen on talking to people from government to see what can be done. In terms of obviously a lot can be done in terms of private sector, and we're moving out quite fast on private sector. So Centrica are going to be rolling out. There's also other organisations that we're working with, but I do feel there is a massive opportunity for what could be achieved for people like who are long-term unemployed, and those with neurodiversity issues, just to support them in schools. And I would love to be able to speak to somebody in government about that. So I'm very sorry I wasn't today there at the conference, but hopefully there will be another opportunity. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on TikTok, so would very much like to speak to somebody if you are interested in learning more about how we have delivered solid, extraordinary innovation utilizing AI and some of these existing investments that the UK taxpayer has already invested in. Thank you very much.